Welcome to Vsb News Online for Friday, February the 27th. I'm Charles Webb. Shadow Minister David Burt spent close to 2 hours on his feet in Parliament today, replying on behalf of the opposition to the government's budget speech. He did not pull his punches.
We cannot move Bermuda forward unless we stop attacking those who disagree with us as uninformed, disloyal, or not having Bermuda's best interest at heart. As the Minister of Finance set out his affinity for his country as a guiding force for his work, as the Shadow Minister of Finance, I take the same license and say that we, on this side of the House, Bermudians all, equally have the best interests of this country and her people at heart. Mr. Speaker, there are no easy decisions going forward. As a government in waiting, we know that we cannot be all things to all people, and we are prepared to make the tough choices that are necessary to build a better future for Bermuda. The situation at hand requires ideas and a vision for the future. Short-term fixes and short-term stimulus are not enough. What we require is a fundamental transformation of our economy, and on that measure, again, the One Bermuda Alliance budget has come up short. While there is a concerted effort to reduce the deficit, the OBA seems content with tackling the symptoms and not fixing the problem. A broken and unbalanced economy that continues to shrink. Instead of concrete investments needed to grow our economy, instead of a cohesive visionary plan that will guide us into the future as a stronger Bermuda, we have been presented with proposals which fail to take us beyond the next election cycle. Today, Mr. Speaker, I will talk about the past, the present, and the future. I will remind members and the people of Bermuda where we have come from and provide an outline of steps we can take right now to restore hope to our people. Most importantly, I will present a vision for the future that does not end in 2017, but instead ends with the transformation of the Bermuda economy by the year 2025.
Premier Michael Dunkley sat through the opposition's budget response and then told Vsb News' Brian Darby that what he heard had been big on criticism and short on resources.
This is a budget debate, an economic debate today, and some of the suggestions and the vision were repeated from previously and obviously interesting to take a look at. But two, and most importantly, is as this is a budget debate, and if you talk about where you think we should go, you should say how we're going to get there and how we're going to pay for it. I didn't hear any of that in there. There was acknowledgement of the challenges we face in the economy, certainly with the debt, and the opposition member, shadow spokesperson for finance, talked a great deal about more money for tourism, more money for national security, more money for education, more. But I didn't see any concrete proposals of where it's going to come from.
They're very strong on the airport, aren't they? They really do seem to have got that in a twist. Is there any really interesting point that could we wait to do the airport while we're in our current position?
Sure, why don't we wait until it just falls down and start build from there? And I say that all seriously. They talk about infrastructure development. The airport is the gateway into and out of Bermuda. You have two choices. You make sure your infrastructure is in good condition and you start planning to do that in an appropriate way. Or we go in and patch up that airport and spend a significant amount of money trying to do that. This government has made the approach that we don't believe that is the correct vision to take. We believe we can work something out where very, very little goes on our own balance sheet. And we want to act now rather than later. I didn't hear the PLP lay out in that broad statement about vision, which got clouded quite quickly because it was so broad without any real tangible pinpoint accuracy where you want to go. I didn't hear him lay out and say, these are the 5 infrastructure projects we take on and this is how we're going to fund it. I just heard critique.
Faced with a 5% budget reduction equivalent to $5.9 million, the Ministry of Education is restructuring the way public education is delivered. Minister of Education Wayne Scott explains.
What we're actually doing is gathering data on demographic trends, on school registrations, on that cost per student, per schools, and doing research on best practices for school sizes, because it's not just learning in the classroom, it's social interaction and the such. So this is all information that we're putting together, and the goal is to have meetings with key stakeholders. Let's see what information comes out of there. Let's answer the questions. Let's expand upon that in future meetings. So let's just say it's going to be a very busy month of March for me.
Now, are these stakeholders, like, for example, the teachers' union?
Well, absolutely. I've committed to the union that I will meet with all the teachers. As a matter of fact, we tentatively have a date set for the 12th of March, I believe. But I want to meet with the PTAs and principals. I want to meet with the teachers. I want to have a few meetings at schools for the parents who are interested in the community at large. Let's, as a community, look at the data, make some decisions, and move forward. This is, we have to put our children first, and we have to look in their best interests. I also said in that statement that because we have to have these conversations, that we will be suspending the primary school registrations until at least the end of April. It is the hope that we have all of this wrapped up by then. I mean, the fact of the matter is that we don't need to spend, a year, 6 months or longer going through this stuff. Let's look at the information, have a discussion, make a decision, get on with it, so that we can ensure that we have the best possible environment for our children.
Transport Minister Sean Cockrell explained to Parliament this morning why the onset of winter has created such a dramatic scheduling problem in public transportation.
The Department of Public Transport currently has 10 bus operators who are out on long-term sick leave, and the service has been further impacted by operators out sick during this cold and flu season. In addition, the department has implemented a ban on overtime, and the combination of these factors is impacting the scheduling of bus runs. Mr. Speaker, there has been some delays of certain bus runs as well as some cancellations as a result of the current situation at the Department of Public Transportation. However, I must commend the DPT staff and especially the bus operators for performing well under these circumstances. The department has worked diligently to keep service disruptions to a minimum. For clarity, there are 196 scheduled bus runs each weekday until noon, and the same in the afternoon for a total of 392 bus runs per weekday. Saturdays and Sundays have less bus runs. Yesterday, there were 10 operators out sick in addition to the 10 that are out on long-term sickness that resulted in approximately 40 canceled runs, which equates to roughly 10% of the total run.
And we will be back with more news right after this.
The Marketplace Food Court is you and your family's one-stop shop. Start your day at the Breakfast Bar with omelets made to order and traditional Bermuda codfish breakfast. The chefs will cook lunch and dinner to your liking. Along with the salad bar, sandwich bar, sushi bar, and fruit bar, the Marketplace Food Court is your kitchen away from home. Every day is hassle-free with nutritious meals from the Marketplace Food Court. Visit us 7 days a week. Homemade cooking, quality service, all at prices you can count on.
In what can only be described as boding well for the labor relations climate in Bermuda, the Bermuda Industrial Union and Stevedoring Services Limited signed a new collective bargaining agreement for the period March 2015 to April 2018. And get this, it was accomplished after only 3 meetings. Warren Jones, CEO of Polaris Holding Company Limited, and the president of the BIU, Chris Ferbert, relayed the news via a press conference this afternoon.
The hallmarks of this negotiation, as they were a year ago, were frank communication, honesty, and transparency on both sides of the table. You may recall that when we spoke to you last year, we had agreed a retroactive wage increase for fiscal 2014 of 1.7% and a wage freeze for the 2015 fiscal year, which was to be reviewed at the conclusion of that fiscal year. Additionally, we agreed a wage freeze for the upcoming 2016 fiscal year with a caveat that this position be reviewed at the end of the year. We will return to the table prior to the conclusion of the next fiscal year to negotiate wages only, and the outcome will be based on the financial performance of the company. We also agreed to reduce our staffing headcount. This is to occur within both management and the unionized ranks. Management has agreed to freeze the hiring of one senior management post and to reduce the management headcount by one. With 2 members of the Port Workers Division retiring early in the fiscal year, we have also agreed to freeze hiring for those posts and review that position at the end of the fiscal year.
Once again, the BIU has proved that we can sit down and work with our social partners, that one size don't fit all. And based on the conversation that needs to be had on behalf of our members, we've done exactly that with stevedoring services. There is a minor change, just a minor change to the CBS relates to vacation. People with 1 to 5 year service, now instead of getting 13 days, they'll get 15 days. That's the only real change in the schedule as relates to earned benefits. All the other vacations will remain no change. I think as Mr. Jones said, the 3 meetings that we had set a target of 3 meetings to get it done. And interesting enough, it took us 3 meetings and we were finished. And I think that it bodes well for the industrial relations climate when employers like stevedoring service and union can sit down, have a collective set of negotiations, give ourselves a time frame to get these done, achieve those objectives so we can be able to move the process forward.
5 cents a litre tax increase on imported oil and gas might not seem a lot, especially when it earns the government close to $7 million in extra revenue, but it will have a widespread effect on the whole community, as VSB's Brian Darby explains.
The community is beginning to realize that tax increases contained in the latest budget will impact them directly and in a number of areas. For example, the increase of 5 cents a litre on the fuel tax will, according to a Belco spokesman, increase customs duty on fuel oil from $15.10 a barrel to $23.05. This will translate to an average increase of $8 on monthly electricity bills. Likewise, the fuel increase will make it more expensive for taxi drivers, truckers, motorists and motorcyclists to operate their vehicles. The rise comes into effect in April. It has, of course, followed a 6-month period in which the cost of fuel plummeted both here and around the world, but will have wiped out these price reductions in one fell swoop. Brian Darby reporting for VSB News.
Butterfield Bank has reported net income of $98.3 million for the last year, a 25% improvement over the previous year, despite the economic conditions. VSB's Chris Lodge has been looking at the figures.
The results represent a 4th consecutive year of earnings growth for Butterfield. Chairman and Chief Executive Officer Brendan McDonough says that progress was driven by a continued focus on prudent expansion within the core businesses and markets and diligent management of capital expenses and risks. Mr. McDonough adding that the acquisition of the Legis Group trust and corporate business in Guernsey and some deposit and credit business from HSBC in the Cayman Islands had boosted income. Total net revenue was $371.2 million. That's up $29.5 million, or 8.6% from 2013. The Bermuda operation saw provisions for credit losses halve to $6.4 million, largely because impairment of non-performing hospitality loans and residential mortgages was much greater in 2013. The bank repurchased 8.6 million of its own shares at a cost of $17 million during the year, as well as 560 of its 8% preference shares for $0.7 million. The board declared a 4th interim dividend of 1 cent a common share and a special dividend of 1 cent a common share. I'm Chris Lodge, VSB News.
And now we turn to Earl Baisden with the latest from the sports desk.
Digicel has expanded their community sponsorship that now sees them the sponsors of the Senn Secondary Middle School's rugby kit. Shane McDonald, the director of sales for Digicel, says it's just another matter of giving back to the community.
Yeah, definitely. We've been involved. This thing now is our 3rd year in the middle league. It's fantastic. It's been spread out now. This year, bringing in Sandy's as well, and we've extended sponsoring kit for Sandy's for Chris and the amazing job he's done up there. So, for us, it's great coming here today. 4 years ago, this wouldn't have existed. So, I think that's hats off to the guys here beside me, and we're just glad to be able to help where we can. So, yeah.
Chris Naylor, a teacher at the school, discussed the challenges of keeping youngsters interested in the sport of rugby.
It can be difficult. We're obviously regarded as a minority sport, but if you look around, we've got students from all the schools on the island, and it's a growing sport here on the island, and the boys love it. They love the contact, and I've just been the recipient of some digital sponsorship for the Sand School, and they look sharp, and they feel like they look the part, so they've got to make sure that they play the part today. So hopefully we'll come home with some trophies, some silverware.
Patrick Callow, the Bermuda Rugby Football Union's Youth Development Officer, shares his views for the future of rugby on the island.
I think by providing some more, so with the help of likes of Digicel, with being able to provide games, it's really helped with structure. So the likes of Chris and other sort of magnificent volunteer coaches that are involved in the schools being around, with us helping provide some structure to give them the opportunity to play, I think it helps. They can work off that. So you're not just training to train, you're actually now starting to train to compete, and the young people feel proud about representing their school and competing, and whether that's, with a win or maybe some things to work on, I think it provides a framework to work off. So we're just really grateful for the likes of Chris and, like I said, the other coaches that give their time to really help, and also without the support of Digicel and others to really provide that structure to help grow.
Last night at the BAA field, 9 goals were scored in 180 minutes of football. In the First Division opener, BAA defeated Island Rangers 6-0. BAA put the pressure back on Devonshire Colts and the Boulevard Blazers, who are topping the First Division standings, as they came away with this 6-0 win against visiting Island Rangers. Mariko Irish scored the only goal of the first half as BAA took a 1-0 lead into the break. In the second half, BAA would score 5 more times, with Irish scoring 2 more, Troy Tucker scoring twice, and Laquan Thomas adding the other. In the Premier Division nightcap, the Dandytown Hornets defeated Robin Hood 2-1. Dandytown Hornets went in front in the 30th minute when Janaze Swan scored. Robin Hood had a chance to draw a level, but Antoine Russell missed his penalty kick. In the 69th minute, Robin Hood would get back into the match when Liam Evans scored the equalizer. However, 9 minutes before the end of the match, the Dandytown Hornets went back in front with a strike from Angelo Simmons as they came away with the 2-1 victory. Michael Franklin was eliminated from the 2015 MRU Open Pro-Am Squash Tournament in Canada. Franklin, in his quarterfinal match, took on the top seed Andrew Schnell from Canada, who is ranked 87th in the world. Franklin went down 11-6, 11-6, 11-4. VSB Sports can confirm that 3 track events will take place at the National Sports Center tomorrow, February 28th, while the Telford Electric Mile will be staged. A mini-track meet arranged by the Bermuda National Athletic Association will see athletes compete in high jump and the 200 meters at 2 p.m., while a 400-meter race will take place at 3 p.m. Adam Hall has decided to attend Texas A&M University's baseball program in 2017. High school sophomore Hall has committed to Texas A&M, who are consistently ranked amongst the top NCAA Division I baseball programs in the United States, and the Southern Conference that they play in is widely recognized as the strongest baseball conference in the nation. The Bermuda basketball team that will take on Guyana has been named, with 4 making their debut. The 4 first-timers include Kevin Stevens, Jamie Cedinho, Hussein Simons, and Jonathan Lowe. The squad sees the return to action for Sullivan Phillips, and also pulling on the Bermuda jersey are the likes of John Lee, Chris Crumpler, and Dean Jones. The Bermuda team is led by Roderick Spencer, the head coach, Gavin McKenzie is the assistant coach, and the team consists of Dean Jones, Sullivan Phillips, Chris Crumpler, John Lee, Jason Lowe, Vernon Lamb III, Jerron Haley, Kevin Stevens, Jamie Cedinho, Jordan Knight, Hussein Simons, and Jonathan Lowe. In second spring senior bowling league action at the Warwick Lanes, it saw the Drifters go down 4-0 to the newcomers, while the games between the last minutes and the last pins, as well as the Tigers and Islanders, both ended 2-2. Old and Kickin defeated the Pin Splitters 4-0, while Go and Get It and the Blue Angels finished deadlocked at 2-2. I'm Earl Baisden reporting for VSB Sports.
Looking at the weather for Saturday, February the 28th, it will be cloudy with a chance of morning thunder and periods of rain or showers. Winds will be northerly, light to moderate, varying northeasterly, moderate in the afternoon, and increasing moderate to strong overnight. We're expecting a high near 67 and a low near 60. This weather forecast is the courtesy of the Bermuda Weather Service. Thanks for watching VSB News Online for Friday, February the 27th. I'm Charles Webb.